copyright law in college, and on our parody channel, we've successfully defeated 130 copyright claims and 8 copyright strikes. They keep coming after us. Has anybody here ever got a copyright claim or a copyright strike? Oh, a lot of people. Okay, cool. So we'll talk about that. Cool.
Hi, I'm Audrey. I work at Thematic, which is a music platform that connects content creators and music artists. So providing a way for artists to be promoted and discovered, and providing great music for content creators to use in their videos.
Hey guys, I'm Spanky Valentine. I'm really just a douchebag with frizzy hair over here. YouTube is my main platform. I'm a content creator as well as a recording artist, and I do everything kind of with a little bit of a comedic twist to it. I just like to have a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Henry. So I actually have worked, I think now has been 10 different brands on developing international business, product development, branding, marketing, connecting influencers to those brands. I'm also a part owner of a cosmetics company, and am in the process of releasing a cosmetics company. So I felt like it'd be good for me to be on this panel to give you a different perspective from the brands who are actually looking to work with artists. And yeah, that's about it.
Hey everyone, my name is Griselda. I am an influencer. I started as a makeup artist. No longer do makeup. I am focusing more on teaching artists, upcoming artists, on how to do what I do for a living. Also, I'm a mom. I have a 10-year-old beautiful son, and I love what I do. And I'm here to share with you guys my secrets so you guys can do the same thing.
And so I'm Sarah Alanon. I head up integrated marketing and PR for the brand for NYX Professional Makeup. Super, super proud to be able to work with these guys every single day. When we are pitching sort of brand deals to influencers, we really do it from a community base. We've grown up with you and we want to stay loyal to our community. So I want to kick off the panel and ask the question of how do you guys juggle which brand deals to take and which ones to pass on. And I think the best person probably for this one may be Griselda. You work with so many different brands. You've been in this industry for so long, not just as a talented, incredibly talented makeup artist, but also as a huge influencer.
Thank you. I think it's very important that you stay true to yourself and stay true to your brand. I always like to tell all of my audience, like, if I don't believe into the product, I'm not going to represent it, just because I wanted to make sure that it comes from my heart and you guys believe in me and as an artist. So if I don't believe in it, I'm not gonna announce it and put it on my platform.
I think a really good thing to kind of add to that, because I mean that's dead on what Griselda said. Especially if you guys are, I don't know how many people are like new creators, or are there like new creators here? You guys like been doing this for quite a while. Anybody new-ish? Well, I think the most important thing is to keep the focus on your branding. That was something that I didn't necessarily think about when I first got started, is that everything is about your brand, whatever specific detail it is to you and whatever makes you unique, and to make sure that you are following up with other brands to work with that are specifically on par with what your branding is, so that everything is like highly targeted with your audiences.
I know that working with a lot of very, very cool, very influential, talented makeup artists and brand partners, it's hard to juggle and it's hard to make everybody happy. So how do you juggle that? How do you best sort of, and for a lot of how do you juggle making people happy, making these brands happy, and hitting the marks? Henry, if you don't mind answering this one, since you've worked both on the back end and the front end.
Well, I always, I say this a lot, that you guys are all your own individual brand, right? And you're all the face to your brand, but nobody is the voice to their brand. And you see it all across a lot of brands. So brands that I go to work with, I say, well, who are you? what are you? What's your brand? And you guys need to start asking yourself that, because brands, what they're looking for is more than a face, they're looking for a voice. Because authenticity sells so much more than a nice liner. And you know, and that's the greatness about YouTube, is it gives you an amazing platform to create voice. So from the brand point of view, they're always looking for not necessarily somebody who's super different, but somebody who has a personality attached to their business model, which is you. And so, you know, being on the other side as an influencer, I always give this advice. Everything that you do, ask yourself this one question: what is the job of what you're doing? Do you want just this brand to repost you? Do you want to do a collaboration with this brand? Do you want a discount promo code? What do you want? If you just say, I want to work with the brand, I don't have time for that. I want to know specifically how you want to grow with me, what you want to grow. There's a lot of people that I give to, let's say, like brands like Girl Lactic and Smashbox, and I say, you should reach out to these people because they're up and coming. And the reason why I ask them to reach out to those people is not because they have a shit ton of fault. Sorry.
Henry speaks French.
Fluently. So it's not the amount of followers, it's your unique selling point. What is the personality? You're now in the time of social media where it's oversaturated. So, you know, and it goes for brands too. Every week there's a new liquid lipstick from a new brand coming out, right? So you also got to understand that it's more than just your face, it's your voice. So if there's anything, remember what it is specifically. Maybe I'm just going to keep hitting this brand up every week just because I want a promo code. Next week, once I hit that goal, okay, let's talk about a collaboration, or let's talk about this. So it's brands are looking just as much as you're trying to get looked at. And it's you know, got to remember that.
Yeah, and as far as making brands happy, once you are working with a brand, you'd be surprised at how many creators don't actually follow what was asked of them. Like they send you an email with, okay, we want you to do steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and sometimes some creators won't exactly do everything. So if you just make sure to double check everything, follow that email, you're gonna make a really good first impression on that brand, and they'll want to work with you again. Because I think a lot of brands are used to working with 13-year-olds, or you know, people who aren't super professional. So just treat it really professionally, and you'll get repeat business.
And another thing to piggyback on what he said is that always make sure that you are preparing the product to say if they're having a launch on a specific date, follow through with that and post about it and make sure that you believe in that product, and that's going to get you further with that brand because you're believing in them and they're believing in you that you're going to get the job done and it's going to be done correctly. I think that's really, really important, just to follow through and making sure that both parties are happy and you believe in them and they believe in you as well.
And I think make a point to over-deliver. There's the mindset of like, I almost sometimes approach things in undersell yourself and over-deliver. In that, being modest in what, you know, if you're making pitches to brands and say, well, I can deliver this, this, and this. First of all, make sure that you can deliver all of that. And then always take the effort to go above and beyond whatever it is that you put in that sale or when you're first communicating with the brand. And make sure you do something extra, whether it's extra posts or extra promotion for it, or you know, extract a live clip out of something. And just over-deliver. Brands rarely get that from influencers, and they really pay attention to when you do something like that.
And I'll say that from working on with all, and the people who are in charge of their PR or like reaching out to people, they're like, we just sent them an entire PR kit. They posted about one thing. You know, they're not responding to our feedback email. Boom, bye. So, and it's like it's an up and coming influencer. Like they feel just as hurt when when you're not supporting them. And a lot of these brands are indie brands too. You got, you know, not all of them are bought by bigger corporations where, you know, this is nickels for us. Like, no, there's dollars added. There's value to what they send you. And so I'll use a brand called Galactic, for example. The owner is literally so excited. She was running around her place being like, oh my God, they posted, look who posted. And this girl might have like 23,000 followers and not a big influence, but the quality of the picture was amazing and the comments were amazing and what she said about it. They are those people are the people that she's like, what else do they want? What else? Maybe we can do a liquid lipstick with them or something like that. And that's important. And hindsight is important. Like, understand when stuff isn't coming your way, you got to reflect on what you're doing. Because sometimes people look back and they're like, why didn't they like my picture? Why didn't they do that? So hindsight is really important, especially with working with brands and wanting to grow that relationship with brands.
One thing I want to add to that is look at every package, every brand as an opportunity. They might not pay you now, but if you build a relationship with them, it's going to be huge in the long run because you're going to end up having a collaboration with them because of the relationship you have built from the beginning. If you post a product of them on Instagram, Snapchat about it, do a live stream, do all these things because companies look at every single thing, just like Henry was saying. They look at all of that. And it's really, really important to know that from the back end because if you just post one lipstick and they send you 40, I mean, obviously you're not going to like all 40 of them, but I mean, it's just an example. Me, I think it's really, really important to look at every brand as an opportunity at the end of the day.
I just want to add, working with the Ipsy creators and a lot of the creators in the community, and Sarah hears this too, about the content that you're creating. Henry mentioned voice. Another V is value. You have a lot of value, and I'm a firm believer that you should use tons of brands and tag them properly, mention them properly, because brands are listening. They're using listening tools to identify who's authentically using their product when not being asked to do so. But I do believe when you're being asked to use a product, that there's a value and you should not do it for free. I always say if you can't pay your rent with free product, then you shouldn't do it for free. And I also advise brands often that usually if you ask for less, you get more. Because sometimes brands come in like, I want 2 Instagram posts, I want 2 snaps, I want 2 Facebook posts. It's like, come on guys. When you ask for less, you'll get more. And I think it's about that, a respectable relationship where they realize that there's value to everything you're putting up. So never, never, never undervalue your content.
And I have to say that as a brand that operates more like a family, we refer to each other as a family, refer to our community as a family. When we look at influencers, we look at the talent, we look at the artistry, and we see the value in the authenticity. We ask you to be as authentic as possible and that your work ethic be just as valuable as ours. When you operate in this small community of folks, you have to be uber respectful. Also, know that you can be innovative and creative, and when those don't like you, you find people that do. So I want to talk a little bit about, and you guys may play a little bit of a hot potato on this topic, but the FTC has been a lot more stringent on both brands and influencers on what you post, especially if it's sponsored content. So how do you deal with the FTC? How have you been able to change, and how closely do you follow the sort of legal guidelines?
Notice nobody said, I'll take this one.
Business development, we'll take it.
So we actually have a resident expert who's here somewhere on FTC, Jennifer McDonald, she's somewhere here in the room. She'd be happy to answer any of your questions. The FTC issues are real, and they're ones that need to be addressed, and we need to find appropriate ways to disclose when when we're being paid or asked to use products. But again, I think your audiences know you, so if you always want to make sure that you're disclosing properly. Chad's like, I studied this in college, I know what he's talking about. But so I'll let Chad opine on this too. But it is very real, and I think you do need to make those disclosures. And you're going to find that brands are going to ask you. We're seeing in every proposal and agreement that's coming over from brands that they're also very concerned that for their own protection that you're making FTC disclosures. So my advice is definitely disclose it. Your audience appreciates honesty and transparency, and I don't think that it needs to diminish how genuine you are or that you legitimately own the brand. With that, maybe Chad, did you want to?
Well, I was just going to add what you just added, that it does seem like the brands
right now are really cracking down on it and keep making sure that creators disclose. Like the last brand I did, they were very adamant. Right at the beginning of the integration, you have to have the text on the screen, you have to verbally say it, in the description you have to say it. So I do think brands are quite worried about the FTC cracking down on them. So definitely do what they say if you want to work with them again in the future, because they don't want to get fined or sued or anything by the FTC. So
I think also, in a sense, you can kind of look at the FTC guidelines as something that actually is going to help you and your relationship with your audience, because what I've seen time and time again, anytime a creator posts something on their platform and they try to hide that it's a sponsored post or a video and that a brand was behind it, if they try to conceal it or they hide it or they, there's just a little shifty about how they present it, their audience knows when they're not being genuine, when they're hiding something, and they receive backlash from that. So it's almost doing us a favor by having laws. Not only is it protecting the brand, it's also protecting you, and it's protecting your audience, and they feel like they can trust you because you just come right out and say, hey, I'm working with so-and-so in this video right now, and I'm pretty stoked because I like them, and here's why. And just being upfront about it, this is just another tool that kind of pushes you to be upfront when you're doing sponsored content.
And literally, we'll go over analytics for companies on sales per influencer, per quote, per stuff, and it's surprising enough is people who just post stuff about product versus people who actually say this is sponsored, their sales are actually way better than, and it might be because it's a particular influencer, but I think there's a level of trust now. And there's a couple influencers in here I know who always say this is sponsored, and if you go down her comments, you'll see people all the time being like, oh, that's so cool, like, thank you for being honest, and that reflects into sales for businesses, so it's not even something to be afraid of. Like, literally just start doing it, and then you start creating the audience that follows you, that's just like, oh, that's cool, like, I rock with you, I like that.
I think, not being afraid to get your bills paid. I work with a lot of brands that I'm really honored, and I'm not afraid to say that I get paid, but I am still loyal as an influencer to my platform, because I think it's really important, like everyone here says, it's being loyal to yourself and loyal to your fans are going to respect you a lot more.
I think that when we talk about brand partnerships too, you should really look at the brands you want to work with, what's credible, what's authentic for you. As a brand that's proudly cruelty-free, ethical, supports artists, is super inclusive of everybody. It's not just about the payment. You should really look at the brands you want to work with, that treat you well, that have a solid community that represent you. So when you look at the FTC, I would have to say that transparency is key, and see it as a protection for yourself as well. Your fans will love you more when you're honest, when you're transparent, and when you're credible. When we look at other things, are there any other sort of final tips for them that are, aside from the legal guidelines, that you would want to impart?
Has anybody here used socialbluebook.com? It's a really good website if you're working with a brand and you're not sure how much to charge for your content, whether it be on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter. It's a good starting point where they'll scan you put in your channel and they'll scan all your analytics, and based on your your views and your engagement and things like that, they'll give you kind of a good starting point for how much you should be charging for a brand integration. I've heard a lot of creators say their numbers are way too high. I've heard other creators say that the numbers are way too low. So maybe it's pretty good actually.
So this question is for you two specifically. I know that you do a lot of cover music, and this is one of your specialties. So what does and does not qualify as fair use?
Unfortunately, not a lot qualifies as fair use, especially.
Maybe you can define what fair use is for the folks in the room that don't know about it too.
Yeah, so fair use is if you want to use somebody else's copyrighted material in your video. Typically, that's going to be music, but it would also include like footage, video footage. So a lot of people, fair use is when you're legally allowed to use that material without getting permission or without paying a license. And a lot of people mistake what fair use is. In general, fair use, let's say you're going to use a piece of music in your video.
it's not really going to be fair use unless you're talking about that music or criticizing that music or doing a parody of it. If it's just something that's playing in the background, that would not be considered fair use. So fair use is when you're commenting on or you're covering like something newsworthy about that particular piece of content that is copyrighted, or you're criticizing it or making fun of it in like a parody type way.
It's important to keep in mind like how much of the copyrighted work that you're using as well, because if people can just watch your video and say you're adding commentary or criticism to it, but by watching your video they're probably not going to watch the original, that probably would not classify as fair use. So basically it's like you have to use it, couldn't like substitute it for the real thing.
Very true, yeah. If they can watch your video and they're like, oh, I don't need to go watch that other one now, that's not good.
And then for this corner, since you're specializing in this, what are some of the common copyright myths? One is if you use under 7 seconds of any music, then you can use it. So I hear that a lot from content creators, and that's not true. If you use 1 second, then it's still not copyright. Actually, I have a list. I wrote it down here. Okay. Okay. So if you disclosed it, like if you wrote it in the description and you gave credit to the original creator, then you can use it, and that is a myth. Remixes are fair use. That is a myth. If you bought the song, then you can use it. That's completely untrue. You know, if you bought the song for 99 cents on iTunes, that doesn't mean that you can use it. You know, it still belongs to the artist. So that's a myth. If you turn off monetization on your YouTube videos, then that means it's fair use, that's not true also. So
those are wonderful points to touch on, and like as you mentioned, you always have to get permission. So if you think like, oh, I asked the artist and they said okay, you still have to think about, do they have a record label because they have a right to the song? Did they make co-write? Did they write it with someone else, or were there other people participating in the music? Like you have to get permission from everyone. So even if it's a cover song, you're like, oh, I'm gonna evade content ID and I'm not gonna get a claim. You're still liable. You could get claimed, your video could get taken down, and in the worst case, you could get sued. So it's like you have to keep that in mind, where you always have to get permission, even if it's for 5 seconds or the full song. It's really important.
I also want to touch on something that kind of the culture that I've been noticing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, because I think oftentimes when we think of fair use and like using copyrighted music, it's often only discussed within the realm of YouTube and putting up YouTube videos. And YouTube's practices and how they crack down on copyright infringement are much more stringent than other platforms. But what I've been seeing a lot of, especially in this explosion of growth of video on Instagram, is people are just using copyrighted music left and right, and it's blowing up. Platform, and you have to get permission to use it on any platform. I'm constantly seeing artist music being used and they're not even credited. I rarely see that on Instagram. And it is important to make sure you're keeping that in mind, because I have seen some Instagram channels, what do you call those things?
Accounts,
Instagram accounts, thank you. I've seen some deleted because they were using copyrighted music. It does happen, and it is something that you have to be aware of and make sure that you're getting yourself protected. And it's just out of respect for the artist whose art that you're using to propel your music or your content as well.
Yeah, and YouTube's great because they do have content ID, which helps creators protect their rights and make sure that their rights are being monitored, both as a creator and as an artist. And though other platforms may not have that yet, where Facebook's developing it, Instagram is developing it, but there's also companies that record labels hire and movie studios hire to literally just go watch videos and do manual claims. So it's, although you think you may not be, content ID won't find me, I have a special channel, or I'm only using so many seconds, you could still be found and be held liable for that usage.
Yeah, I actually did a video on a lookbook. It's called Selena Gomez Get the Look. I did not even use her song at all, but I just wrote her name on the title, and I got content ID claim, and that was a manual claim. But I disputed, of course, and I won because I didn't use the song. But they're cracking down on that a lot. but kind of touching on that too, but there are also fake claims that are done on YouTube. There's just fake companies that just set up, they hire a bunch of interns and they just go and manually claim all the videos, even though it's all fair use. So if you do get copyrighted, definitely look into it, and if you believe that your content is fair use, fight it. And that's what we've been doing pretty much for 6 years. So yeah, there's also fake claims.
And we have the Face Awards, which is our beauty blogger competition, and we use Audio Network for royalty-free music. But what is it that you guys use to recommend to all of these up-and-coming YouTubers in this space today?
I'm a little biased, but we did create Thematic, which is currently available only to FC Glow members as a service. You know, we're building it with you guys. We want your input, but it allows you to use name artists in your videos so long as you give them promotion. So it's a win on both sides, where you guys get great music to help elevate your videos and elevate your storytelling, and the artists get the exposure, which is a great collaboration and relationship to build with the artists. And then aside from that, like, always check with your network. Do they have a free production library that you can use? A lot of them do. And then there's also resources like the YouTube audio library. Check there. You can use it in your videos. Or there's other sites like Pond5, where if you're looking for a specific track, like, you could probably find some production music to use there as well.
Yeah, a lot of these do give you free access. I was with Maker Studios for a while, and they gave access to Epidemic Sounds, which you don't have to be with an MCN to use them, but so if you are with an MCN, check with them. They might have a free subscription for you for that. Certainly, I think Thematic, right? Yeah, cool. And then, yeah, YouTube library is pretty good too.
If you happen to be with Studio 71, they have Opus One also, and that's free for creators under their network.
No Copyright Sounds is also a great resource. I think a lot of people are probably familiar with that one at this point, and their library is just constantly building. Seems like daily at this point. And I think it's also really exciting. We have the opportunity as creators to also help other creators, meaning musicians, and utilizing maybe a small recording artist content in your video, and you're cross-promoting each other. Obviously, I think it's important to note, if you go that route, to just make sure that you get something in writing, even if it's something that you're getting from a friend. I've used a lot of my fellow musician friends' music in videos, and they've gone and got signed by a record label, and I got content ID'd, a year after using the content, but because I had something in writing, I was able to fight it and get it cleared. But it's a great opportunity to help promote people who are, equally as creative, but just in a different sphere, and you might be able to cross-promote your platform and get a new audience that way as well.
So I want to end on a different note. I'm not going to do question number 10. I like from right to left to talk one last tip that you can give this audience.
You guys, a lot of you have heard from me over the years. It's been a couple of years now with Open Studios, but it might seem overused, but it's being authentic to yourself and being the best version of you. I have the pleasure of working with Michelle Phan, and people aspire to be like Michelle Phan, but I always tell them, be inspired and aim to be the best you can, but be the best version of yourself. Don't try to be someone that you're not. Find a trait that makes you unique and different from others, and amplify the heck out of it.
Yeah, along that line, I'd say try your best. That's almost impossible, but try your best to not compare yourself to other people, because I do this to myself all the time. I'm sure everyone does. I look at these other creators that are like really, really huge, and I'm like, oh, why can't I get as many views as them, or why can't I grow as fast as them? And that's just a recipe for feeling bad about yourself. So try to, I just try to look at my own videos and see how can I improve. Can my next video perform better than the last video, rather than comparing myself to all these other super huge creators.
I guess for me is do your homework, get geek out, look at SEO analytics. Why is this particular video is on the homepage of YouTube? Why is this video on the suggested side of the YouTube videos? So kind of learn how the back end of YouTube works, and then that's how title and tag your videos correctly, and use great thumbnails. Just how to expose yourself and play the YouTube analytics game, I guess.
This is touching off of what Chad said of don't be super work with each other, work with other creative types, even if it's, someone who's outside it, whether it be a music artist or someone who does really cool animations. Like, be creative, work with each other, not against each other. I think you can accomplish so much more when you do that, and then just really, the sky's the limit at that point.
Yeah, I mean, getting trapped in the comparison game is just a downward spiral. I think we all go through it. I think there's a little bit that's healthy at one point just to kind of establish where you are. But everything that I've noticed, especially in creators that just skyrocket, is their story may be, I was comparing myself, but then it's always the moment when they stopped doing that comparison that they focused that attention on whatever it is they're creating, and it allows you to explore so much more creativity, and you can grow so much faster. And I think for me, the most important thing that I would want to leave with anybody is to know your value. It is so important to know your value as an individual and as someone with a voice, because this is a blessing that we have a platform. And know your value. If it's working with brands, establish what is your baseline minimum as far as pay or as far as collaboration. And just stick to your value, even if things get difficult for you. They will pick up as long as you're sticking to where you have set your personal platform to raise to.
So if I could give any advice, it's all of you guys are trying to be content creators, and you're trying to set this career, but we all got life. And we all got the struggles of life, we all got bills, we all got aspirations. But one of my favorite sayings of all time is, you can't give testimony if you haven't gotten tested. So we all go through our tests. And the only way you can give testimony on how to become better is if you've gone through tests. And so you're always going to go through these tests in life, whether it's not being able to pay your rent or not feeling like you have worth. But remember, with every test, that hindsight, because it's hindsight that actually gives you the seeds to grow and actually learn, who are not only the people that you want to aspire to, but the people who are going to ride and die with you on the road to getting there. So don't forget that.
I think my advice would be your own competition. Don't be anybody else's competition. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, what didn't I do yesterday that I can do today? I think that, to me, is the most important thing, because you are blessed with what you have for a reason, and that's going to help you become the bigger and better person that you're meant to be at the end of the day. Thank you guys so much for being on this panel today. Thank you for listening. And I'm sure if anyone has any questions or comments after, we'd be available over there on the right. Thanks, guys.
Now I gotta put the MC hat